what have been the toughest market that you think you've seen?
0809 by far. COVID was fun. COVID was fun. The only reason why COVID wasn't fun was because obviously the amount of offers everybody had to write and how just nuts. Basically, it was who has top dollar to win.
Okay.
But it was fun because everybody needed something.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to one of our 5-star podcast episode. Today, I have Andre Holloman from Keller Williams. This is Camila from MCN Marketing Firm. Welcome, Andre.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Absolutely.
So listen, let's warm up a little bit, okay?
Get comfortable.
Let's break the ice.
Okay, I'm with that.
I know that you've been in real estate business for 16 plus years, man.
16.
I see no gray.
No gray.
No gray.
I've been avoiding it, thank God.
I want to know what's the magic for this. No gray, looking amazing.
Start young, so I got, start really young as you can, and then coconut water. Get some coconut water, regular water, you're good.
So 16 years.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful.
Depends on how you look at it, because I started when the crash happened. So I got my license right when everything kind of bottomed out.
Are we talking about 2008-ish?
2008, 2009, yeah. So
that's when I came to this country.
Oh, wow.
And I didn't know about the crash until I learned about the country.
Oh, yeah, no. I was in it.
Tell me, what made you decide to go for real estate? Why real estate? Why?
So it's interesting that you say that, because at 2008, I bought my first house. So I was 23. I bought my first house.
Wow.
So my realtor told me that you'd be good at this. And I was like, whatever. I was in sales for telecom sales for Verizon Wireless, and I was running a store. And most people don't realize at that time was when the first iPhone came out.
Whoa. See,
iPhone,
now I'm never going to forget you because of that.
The first iPhone came out, and it just disrupted the business, and everybody started losing money. So at that time, which used to make a lot of money in telecom sales, now everything just changed because of that one phone. And I'll never forget, I went from a quota of, say, 10, 15,000 a month we had to bring in sales to 30,000 a month that we had to bring in sales as a store manager, and I only got paid $1,500.
Oh, my God.
So that's when I said, oh, well, maybe my realtor wasn't too, she was on to something. So let me go sit down for this license thing and see how long it takes. And I did that. And that's when everybody was doing the flipping thing. So like they had the TV shows with the flippers. And like, I was like, okay.
Yeah, that was big on TV.
That was big.
Yeah.
So I started doing the license classes on Saturdays, and then I got my license. So
how many hours you had to do back then?
It was still 60.
Still 60.
But it was a lot harder doing a retail job. So you have to, it was Saturday mornings I did. So I did it for 9 weeks, 9 Saturdays in a row. And then had to go to work after that.
So you were working still with this company and getting your license.
Correct.
All right. So now, tell me the truth.
No.
Were you jumping into real estate full-time right after your license? How you did your switch?
So I didn't do a switch for a while because no matter what they say, you just can't jump into it unless you come from a bag of money. So
It's true.
unless you're from a family of realtors and they have a real estate business, or or you have just a good financial background, you're gonna have to kind of dance on both lines for a little bit until you get enough going, because you have to get your clientele up, and it takes a while.
Yeah.
Especially during that time, everybody got out, people were losing jobs, and everything was just a nightmare. So I started in the worst time, but it was the best time for me.
What were your family saying? Don't do it. It's
My
not
family
a good
didn't say.
market."
Actually, they were. I've always been progressive and always been entrepreneurial. So they always.
I can tell.
Yeah. So they kind of were like, all right, well, this is the new thing. And I caught on to it very quickly. So they were like, well, then, all right, what do you got to do? And just go do it. And that was kind of it. But what I had to go through to get stable in this business, I think that's the part that a lot of people, don't see. They kind of just, oh, you made it. It's like, oh, no. Nah, that's not how that happened. It's not all the way true.
Yeah, it's 16 years, man.
Yeah,
That's
16 years
a
is a
lot
long time.
happens in one day.
Oh my
24
God.
hours.
Yeah.
Imagine in 16 years.
16 years is a long
Okay, I
time.
wanna I wanna I wanna know a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay, so 2008, 2009,
Mm-hmm.
you got into it. You passed the
Yep.
test. You
First
were
time too.
oh.
First time. I was out of that. I put
Good
that chair on my cat.
job,
I put that
man.
chair on my cat. But first time, one and done. I wasn't trying to go back. No, one and done.
That was me when I went to do my driver license.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm sick of my mom teaching,
Oh
man.
yeah. See, now that I had to
I
go
gotta
back.
go
See, I had to
to-
do that twice. See, I had to do that twice. Driving. I'm a New York City driver. I'm born and raised in New York.
Oh,
So,
see?
so I had to go back. But real estate license, one and done.
Good for you. And
Yeah.
then you bought your home.
Yep.
And all right, so tell me more. So what happens after you got your house? Do you understand the process?
So it's different being a consumer because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
And at 23, I was one
God,
of
23.
one of one actually only the person that knew that bought a house was my best friend. Everybody else was getting out of college, still hanging out, that
Yeah,
kind of stuff. Nobody,
at that age, you're not
yeah.
really thinking about house.
And so you can only look up to your elders, and I was the first person in my immediate family to buy a house. So my parents didn't buy a house, my uncle didn't buy a house, my grandmother didn't buy a house. They were born and raised in New York, so you didn't do that. Everybody
Right,
rented,
right,
so it's
right.
normal. So I
It's
was the
different.
first one to go through the process. So it's a lot different being on that side than when you get to learn.
So you came to Connecticut what
Mhm.
age?
14.
14. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I moved to Connecticut 2 weeks before my freshman year of high school, so it was a total culture shock. Total culture shock. There's no trains, there's no White Castle, there's no buses. It's
Yeah,
different.
it's a different world.
Total different world. Slow. Like you can hear the
Yeah.
grasshoppers and stuff like that. I was
Yeah.
totally weird.
Yeah.
Totally weird.
You miss it?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. I always say the
Aw.
pizza's better. I get in a lot of arguments over the pizza. So just happens.
What was the show? One bite and
Yeah.
done? Yeah.
See, yeah. I tell everybody, come to New York, you can get pizza, but everybody, we argue and hate and stuff like that. So I get out of it because people get really territorial about their pizza.
Hey, you end up buying a home here in Connecticut, so
is
we
true.
got something good.
Listen, the price is a lot better. Totally better. I'm not gonna argue that. Not gonna argue that.
So, who do you started working for at first?
So when I first got my license, I started working with Century 21 Access America. I think they changed their name now, but that's who that was. And started there. I was there for just about a year, and it was like I said, you're getting your grounding going. And at that time, the market was so unstable, so nobody could tell you what to do. I never forget my first
Oh my God, you
sale.
started at a really tough time.
My first phone call, which was a cold call for an expired listing, which I didn't know what those were, and it was a short sale, and I didn't know what that was either.
Oh
So
God.
my first phone call, I get the person to say, "Hey, come over and sell my house or list my house." And I'm like, "Oh, this is easy. Like, this is great." I walked in, she was like, "Yeah, we want to sell it. We're gonna owe more than we worth." And I'm like, "Cool." I went back to my office, like, "What does that happen? What do you do with that?" And they were like, "It's called a short sale." I'm like, "What? How do you do it?"
What does that mean?
Yeah. Like, well, I call this attorney. I'm like, so I called the attorney. His name is Peter Moline. I'm like, "Hey, I got this listing. It says a short sale." And he was like, "Okay, just come to my office." And I'm like, I go to the office and I get him what he needs. I still have no clue what's going on. I sell that house in maybe a week. So I'm sitting there thinking, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah, a piece
I'm
of
gonna
cake.
rock this out. It's even better than selling cell phones. Got this. Took 2 years for that house to close.
Whoa, this is
Yeah.
the first one I hear.
Mm-hmm.
2 years.
2 years.
What?
The buyer waited almost 2 years. So I
Oh
think
my
we
God.
put that under contract and got my license in May of 09. I probably got that property sold in almost into 2011, almost.
You're like, I am definitely not leaving the
Oh, no,
cell
no.
phone company.
Definitely no. It was like, okay, we're glad that every 2 weeks we still got our check because
Right.
I got that
right.
sold and I didn't have anything else happen for at least 2 years.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
What kept you being persistent in the business? Because anybody
Mm-hmm.
that go
True.
through that
Yeah.
will say, screw this, I'm pausing or, not dealing
Yeah.
with the license anymore.
Well, I think the thing for me was I have a sports background. So I played football in college. I played football, basketball, track throughout high school. So it's always in sports. So you have that, like, you have to see it through. There's no just stop. There's no quit. There's no, this is just your rough time. And as they said, everybody was getting out the market. So they were saying the longer you stay, the better off you'll be. And I'll never forget the first training class kind of I went to with Jody Tussing was my trainer at that time. She looked around the room and it was about maybe 15, 20 of us in that first training class, the first night. And we were like part-time agents at that time. You know, what do they call those? The night agents kind of thing. And she said, look around the room. She's like, maybe in 3 to 5 years, maybe 3 to 5 years still be in this business. And I said, well, I'm going to be one of those 3 to 5. And she was right. She was right. I say, well, probably within a year, I think only 2 people I know still were doing the business. And that was in that class.
It takes a lot of persistence, discipline, and courage, man. Because if you're not seeing a float
No.
of income, you get demotivated.
Yeah.
Will you say that?
It does. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. And people don't understand you have to weather that storm. You have to.
And let me ask you something. So 16 years, again, it's a long time.
Yeah,
So
very long time.
you have seen the market shifting
Oh, yeah.
up and right.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you said that the 2008-9 situation was a lot harder than COVID, or what throughout your path in this industry, what have been the toughest market that you think you've seen?
0809, by far. COVID was fun. COVID was fun. The only reason why COVID wasn't fun was because obviously the amount of offers everybody had to write and how just nuts. Basically, it was who has top dollar to win.
Okay.
But it was fun because everybody needed something. So the market was just frenzied. You can go out and just work. The thing that I learned was when you know how to pivot, it gives you different opportunities.
Absolutely.
And when I learned the pivot at that point, my business became different. But the reason why I actually liked it the most was I built my business on my sphere of influence and my database, so people that knew me. So once COVID happened, people couldn't rely on the real estate leads like those streams of services and businesses people typically use. My people that knew, trust, and liked me from all those years came out in full spades for me. And that's where you realize the relationships that you built and curated over all that time carried me through probably one of the hardest financial things for everybody at that time, because I didn't take any, PPP money. I didn't do any things like that. I still had to work and figure it out with a mask on, which was, that was summers hot. They were hot
Sweating.
walking
I
in
was selling cars at the time,
Okay.
so I can relate.
Yeah, that was uncomfortable.
Horrible.
And I was still getting referrals, and people were looking for me, and it was like, oh, okay, I don't have to figure this out. I've done such a good job of taking care of the people I've had over the years. It just happened organically.
That's beautiful. So you have been able to grow at how you've been growing because you maintain relationships.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So you don't forget somebody's
No,
birthday.
no,
You don't forget to say the happy holiday little card.
No.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Will you be able to give our audience
Sure.
a secret, or maybe, you know what, even better, because it's 16 years. I keep pointing on this because you don't get to see or interview people that will look as good as you
I
look
appreciate that. Thank you.
in 16 years of business,
Yeah.
right? And I'm sure you have a lot of stories to tell.
Oh, my God. Countless. Countless. I keep getting told to write the book because every day's a story. Every day's a
But
story.
I would like to know, and obviously for the audience, how you keep a relationship. Like, what made that? Because you have to have beautiful heart, right?
Yeah.
A clean, pure heart, to not
Absolutely.
just seeing people as transactions.
Correct.
Right? Tell me a little bit more about that.
You have to understand you're building a friendship in the form of a business, because the thing I told myself was they're spending this is the most expensive transaction that somebody's going to make,
And scary.
and very scary. So you want to be with somebody who you trust. And I always think about it of, if this is going to be my grandmother, I want somebody who's going to treat my grandmother right. So that kind of where I took that step back of all right.
You put people's shoes.
And then you kind of go, okay, right, let me help you through the process. And good, bad, or indifferent, you don't have to buy the house. I just want you to feel comfortable. And I think when people see that, they're like, you care about me, not just trying to get the house. I was like, yeah, because if you spend $300,000, $500,000, $1,000,000, you're mad about it, you're never gonna say anything nice about me. Nobody will. Like I understand that because I wouldn't. Like
Yeah.
there's so many times you hear people say, "Well, I bought that house with that realtor and it was a bad deal and it was a this and it was a that," and I've always said, "I'm going to tell you to walk away from more houses than I'll tell you to go buy a house," and that doesn't serve me. That serves you. So you know that I'm not in it for the check, and that's one of the ways that I've always approached it. It's not about me. This is your house. This is what you're going to be building your memories in. So I'm just here to help you get it. With that, whatever that looks like, fine. It's four walls and a roof for me, but it's where you're going to build your memories with your family. So I understand that.
And you having the experience when you purchased your first
That
home.
big difference, and I think that helped too. So at 23, you know nothing. You don't know how to budget. You don't know.
We think we do, right?
Oh my God! You can't tell me like I was flying high at 23 too. Like I got money, I got a car, I got this. I was like what? And we can go to the club on the weekend, and I could
we're living life.
We're living life. Oh, and I'll never forget an older guy was like, hey, buy real estate. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna buy real estate. Watch.
I'm gonna do that too.
Yeah, watch. And I went about and did it, and I was like, life is millionaire. Like I'm going. And then life was like, I got you. Let me show you how it really works. And I knew that at that point. I said I didn't know what I didn't know because while my agent was great and she was the person who helped me out, she couldn't connect to me because there was such an age gap. She was older than my mom, younger than my grandmother, but she did her best to give me care and make sure I got the good house. But at the end of the day, she didn't really teach me anything either. It was kind of, I got you into the house. I stayed in contact with you. But for what, at that age, it was like, it's like, okay, when I took my license, there's a lot I didn't know. And there's a lot she didn't teach me. And I'm like, I would hate to be that person now where somebody buys a house with me, but I didn't tell them what they were getting into. I didn't teach them about the process. I didn't make them understand this is an investment not only for right now, but 10, 15, 20 years down the line. So if you don't buy it right now, this has implications that are, stay with you. And that kind of humbled me and said, okay, I'm going to be that person so that when somebody comes to me, listen, I know you want a house. I get it. And even I've had this conversation today, literally today, where my client was like, what should I do? I said, do you want to buy a house for the money? Or do you want to buy the house that you live in? I said, because your memory is going to matter in the house.
Oh, how beautiful.
That's what you're paying the house price for. You're paying for the memories and stuff that you're going to create. If you're looking just for the cash out in 5 years, then we're having a different conversation. And that's your choice. But understand, I'm giving you the autonomy to say, look at both sides of it. So when you make the choice, it wasn't that Andre told you to go buy this house at this price and pay X amount. Understand what you're buying it for. That was something I never got. And that was, I don't say a detrimental to me, but it was a learning lesson that I could have avoided when somebody told me, hey, buy a multifamily and here's why. And this is what you do. And then how you protect yourself. Like a couple clients of mine who wanted to do that. And I got them books after they bought the house. I gave them books. This is how you be a good property manager. This is how you set your portfolio up. These are the next steps. This is what you're building. And those people were like, thank you, because now you're helping me and investing into me.
It's different directions for different transactions that people want to do. I think a lot of people, maybe they feel afraid that they're not going to get approved. They don't really telling the truth, where they see themselves, and, So I think there's a lot more information now out there online.
But that's good and bad too. And that's the hard part because everybody can go YouTube and be a realtor.
Yes.
And they can tell you all these programs and all these things, but they don't know the ins and outs of them. And what I don't like, in my personal opinion, is nobody tells you the truth behind their story. Somebody tells you they made all this money in real estate, and it's like, yeah, but you had a 6-figure job. So you didn't start off really bad. You had another source of income.
Right, they're not giving the details.
Tell the truth, and tell these people it's not the first property that makes you the most money. It's probably by the third. You may just break even on the first one, but your second and third, those get better because you learn how to buy better. You learn how to manage the property better. These are the things you have to go through, just like in business. The first year you're trying to make it.
Yeah.
You're just trying to make it.
Tell me about
it. I'm not buying the Benz. I'm not going out on Fridays to drink. I'm not like, I am tired. I worked 70 hours this week and I probably made just enough to keep the lights on. That's the reality.
It is.
By year 5, you're like, I think I got it. I think. Like, nobody died today. Like, we're good. Like, nobody died today. They're not looking for me. All right, cool. By year 7 to 10, it's like, everybody knows you. You feel confident and you've done enough and had enough experiences where you're like, I can handle this. This is okay. Those first 1 to 3 years, they're rough.
Forget it.
And a lot of people don't talk about that. And that's why for me at year 16, it's like, I'll talk to you from year '09 because I remember '09. I remember how, at certain points, even in that story, I got knocked back to year 1 and had to start all over again and redo it.
Yeah, I liked how you said that humble me, the word humbled.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think a lot of people share it,
Oh,
because they
no.
want to keep this image or whatever. But really, what I find more and more is that we connect really with the human.
Oh, yeah.
You
And you
like,
have to.
hey, how do you, okay, you've been stable for 16 years, but how really not stable was it to begin
was
with,
not
right?
stable.
And I love that you share
Oh, I have no problem. And I think
working your full time and
I did it twice. I started off with Verizon. I went to the bank to have better hours and do
bank your hours.
banker hours, and that didn't
Oh,
help.
you're trying to break the system here, sir.
That didn't work. So I was like, okay, that was a failure. And then I got fired from the bank for having a license, and I had to go for like 2 or 3 years where our real estate was the main thing, and it wasn't happening quick enough. And I said, okay, great. I got to get another source of income. And I did an overnight job for 3 years, doing 6 at night to 6 in the morning, and then taking a nap and get up and going to do real estate work. And I did that for 3 years.
You put in the work and
But
you
people won't talk
driven.
about that. And then getting the sales, of getting the consistency going so that there was enough to come in and then
and maintaining relationships.
all of that at the same time.
Do you had a mentor throughout all these years? Can you remember a time where
So-
you saw somebody as a mentor?
I had a couple mentors, and there's a difference between free mentorship and paid mentorship.
Oh, yes.
Big difference. Big difference. And the hard part in this business is the free mentorship does cost, but it's a different kind of cost. Paid mentorship, you're paying for somebody's time, but if you don't get, they're going to keep moving because
They have more clients to take care of.
you're on the time schedule. If the free mentorship is being somebody's intern or doing the open houses for somebody that's ahead of you, and it may not be a payoff today. Maybe, it's going to be free work at some point.
So you invested some time in these characters.
Yeah. And so for me, one of those first mentors was Carrie Karinkowitz. And I always give her a lot of love because she was a seasoned agent for like almost 30 years, something like that. And what she showed me was grace and humbleness of somebody who's being at the top. She never bragged. She doesn't take all the awards. She just was in her room and did her work. And she had an open house, whether it's a $500,000 house or a $108,000 house. She'd let me do the open house on a $500,000 house, and she'd go take a $108,000 house open house. And I was like,
Wow.
exactly, because most agents don't do that.
Wow.
And then say we do it on a Sunday, that Tuesday, there would be a gift card. Thank you for doing an open house for me.
That's beautiful.
So like that was my first one of those, like, okay.
And you give me that vibes. You're this gentleman right here, man. The vibes we're flying in right now. It's beautiful, so peaceful, so genuine.
And so that was, to me, that was one of my first mentors. Then I switched over to Keller Williams, and Susan Donnelly was my next mentor. She really helped me understand business, because I think the thing that most realtors don't understand, you're in a business. This isn't holiday cards and recipe cards. Like, you're actually serving people, but you're also building a business behind it. So you have to maintain that. And that's where that part kind of kicked in. It was allowed me to be the other part of being sustainable, as you talked about. Now you're learning, you're running a business. You're not just doing a hobby. You're not just showing houses after 5 or 6 o'clock. You're not just going to go do town tours, which they don't do anymore. I come from that time. Town tours and caravans and stuff. Like, you're actually running a business, and you have to treat it as such. That was the pivot, I would say, for me, that really kicked me into high gear to be a top producer.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Andre.
Yeah, of course.
We're cutting it close,
Yeah.
but before we go,
Yeah.
okay, and I know time flew here.
Time flew. It was great, though.
What will you tell your 23-year-old today that would help beginners?
I would say to my 23-year-old self, go work for somebody for free that's already doing it. Buy as many investment properties as you can afford, but understand what a budget really is. Because most people don't understand what a budget is. And learn how to manage money ahead of time so that you can then invest into other stuff. And even if it doesn't make a lot of money in the beginning, it's the future long-term play. So make those investments now, live low, don't go buy the nicest car, don't worry about all that stuff. Take that 23 to 30, put every dollar you can into the real estate or to and learning and stuff like that.
You
And then
have
you're
it.
fine.
Here you have it.
Yeah.
Andre, where can our audience find you?
They can find me anywhere on all platforms at Andre CT Realtor. Andre CT Realtor. That's it. That's me.
I was just following him today. Thank you one more
It's a
time for
pleasure.
coming
Thank
here.
you guys so much for
Hoping
having
we
me.
can see you in another episode and
Absolutely.
bring a little bit more of other stories.
Please.
Thank you one more time for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe so subscribers can grow on YouTube. And you want to give a shout out to somebody today?
So shout out to all you guys for watching. I appreciate you.
Thank you. We'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye.